Guys, and we're here with a new week, and I've stumbled on my words already, but that's already a good start. But yeah, we are here with a new week, and this week I've decided to venture into like 5 color bombs. Really, I was gonna try and think of a fancy name, I couldn't. So I mean, yeah. Without further ado, that's it. It's stall early game, place down loads of big scary creatures, which win the game very fast. And I've got lots of ways to get these big scary creatures out a bit earlier as well, which is always fun. But yeah, without further ado, let's go into the cards. And first card, this is basically my stall early game, which is Wall of Omens. It's a two cost, 2 mana. It's a wall defender, 0/4, and it draws me a card, which is obviously really nice. I mean, I'm always happy to see this guy in my starting hand in this deck. Like, there's not a situation where this guy is bad in my hand. So that's why I run all three. And yeah, nothing much really else to say. He's pretty standard in all stall late game decks. And then we just jump straight up to, I mean, obviously because you're 5 color, there's very little cards in each color, but yeah. We only run one more white card, like mono white card, which is Baneslayer Angel. Not surprising, I'm guessing that this is my chosen bomb of white, because it's flying, lifelink, dragons, demons, everything good. There's nothing bad about this card whatsoever. And yeah, it just wins games. The life gain is really nice in this deck as well, because normally, like, for example, if you're playing, like, I don't know, like, red-blue, is it control, or something like that. Well, not is it control. Well, yeah, is it? Let's just say is it control, and they get you down to about 10 life, and then they're just drawing loads of manas. They know that a Banefire can just kill you. So if you get a Baneslayer out, yeah, you force them. I don't know. Worst case scenario, they use the Banefire on your Baneslayer, and then don't have it to hit you in the face. Or even best case scenario, it gains you a bunch of life, and then that's obviously fantastic, because then you're out of range, and it wins you the game as well. So yeah, not too much there. And then I can already see a lot of people thinking, but then we move on to blue, where we run think twice, card draw, early game, really good. I'm kind of zooming through this. I should probably slow down a bit. Yeah, not really much to say about. I'll justify the next card a lot, but yeah, think twice. It's pretty much the best blue card in the game, I do think. Just so versatile, and it just draws you a bunch of cards, and it really helps. And there's not a situation when you start to draw this card. Next, we run a card which you can see a lot of people scratching their heads at. We're running 2 Counterlash. Counterlash in this deck, I think personally, is amazing. I'm gonna make the claim that this card will win me more matches than any other card in this deck, and it's a bold claim. And I was playing my brain's gone. I was playing one of my guys on my friends list, and I beat him with this card. And he didn't like the card. He said it's a bad card. Why are you running it, sort of thing. And I can see why, but the reason it's good in this deck is because I run a lot of bombs, so I generally have this and a bomb in my hand. Also, I think taking Soul of Ravnica is the easy way out in a 5 color deck. Plus, I don't really like that card anyway. I'd much rather have this. And finally, what this card says to me is this card says to me, because they never expect the counter either as well, because this is the only counter spell in the entire deck, and if you haven't countered anything by like turn 4, turn 5, they generally assume you don't have counters, which is always so they'll generally tap out for a big creature anyway. But this is what this card says to me. This card says to me, you counter target's big creature. You get to cast your big creature for free, and that big creature basically has haste, because they've tapped out for their big. They've got no responses. You can just attack in next turn, and then pretty much win the game. And just imagine this: Baneslayer with haste, always a really good idea. That's the only card we've got to so far. When you see some of the later cards, you'll realize why this card is so good in this deck. And there comes a point where they've used all their removal on your creatures when you like the creatures you cast already, and then they've just go, right, well, you don't cast anything for a turn. They've got no board. You maybe have like 1 or 2 creatures on the board. That's when you just keep Counterlash open, and then that just wins you the game. And that's why I love Counterlash in this deck. Next, we move on to black, where we do have a little bit more, where we have 2 Rescue from the Underworlds. This helps me get back my big creatures once they do eventually remove them. And yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of end of the battlefield effects which gel really well with this. So yeah, I mean, this is my recursion in this deck. Originally I had Undying Evil in this spot, but overall, why protect something when you can just bring it back? So that was my theory behind this. Plus 5 cost isn't really too bad in this deck, as you are stalling out for late game. Next we run into Sheoldred. Sheoldred is Sheoldred. I mean, in a black bomb deck, is anyone really surprised to see this card in? I mean, this thing is just, yeah, I mean, every time I run Sheoldred, I just say, look at the abilities, and then just stay silent. And that stands true today. I mean, look. Do you see anything bad in this card? Because I don't. And, let's move on quickly before I get too overexcited, and I'll try and throw it on my deck there. But 2 Rune-Scarred Demon. A Rune-Scarred Demon in this deck is a very interesting card because you have to know what you're going to tutor, and I think a lot of people I've seen recently have been misplaying Rune-Scarred Demon, and I mean I'm not immune from that, but basically Rune-Scarred Demon generally, unless gets you the other Rune-Scarred Demon. But the thing you've got to keep in mind is if you have to have predicted the next 2 turns in advance for you to get the Rune-Scarred Demon from this guy. Because I mean, if you're dead in 2 turns, it doesn't matter if you got the other Rune-Scarred Demon, because you're not going to have time to cast the other Rune-Scarred Demon and get the thing you need to save you the game. So you need to see 2 turns in advance before playing that first Rune-Scarred. And then if you see anything, well, nothing's really going on, that's when you get the other Rune-Scarred. Otherwise, you get the thing that saves you the game. And there's a card I'll talk about at the very end. Actually, I'll talk about it now. I'm really thinking of taking out 1 card. I'm not sure which card yet. But taking out 1 card and replacing it with a Banefire. Just say I've got my opponent down to 6. I can tutor for a Banefire and then just win the game like that. Because I've got no instant burn in this deck. Which is something I'd really like to amend. So I'm tempted to just put like a 1-off Banefire or something like that in. And just try and win the game that way. But I will probably make that change before you see the deck, but I'm not really sure which card I'll take out yet. Probably the Genesis Hydra, but let's stop spoiling that, and let's move on ahead and move on to red. We don't run too much red, where we run 2 Anger of the Gods. This really helps us early game. Can tutor for it with Rune-Scarred as well. That's kind of my secondary tutor, because just say they've got like loads of tokens out, this guy just says win game, which is always fun. And then that's all I've really got to say. It's a board wipe. It's the best board wipe I could get. Don't particularly like playing the cleansing, especially as it's 3 white in a 5 color deck, which I think is just too demanding. And finally we have Inferno Titan as our red bomb. This guy is just Inferno Titan. Deals 3 damage when it hits the field, deals 3 damage when it attacks. It's ridiculous. They only give us 1 for a reason. Same with Sheoldred. Same with Baneslayer. These cards are really good. So that's why we don't get too many of them, otherwise they would just break the game. And yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Now we move on to green, which is choose Genesis Hydra. I like Genesis Hydra in this deck because if you got double green, just say, you know what, let's just be ridiculous and say you've got like 8 green sources, even though we don't run that many. But if you had like 8 green mana, even though we don't, you could cast like a Maelstrom Archangel from this guy for 5 mana. Like, he gets around the mana like problems you might be having with this deck. But all this deck's been pretty good with mana so far, but he gets around like. Plus, there's a lot of cheap creatures in this deck, which are really good creatures, but they're so cheap because the colors are quite demanding. And this guy helps get around that, and he's really good. Plus, he's late game he's a good bomb. Early game you can cast him if he's going to like be a decent blocker. And yeah, I'm thinking about taking out 1 for the Banefire, which I'll think about. I mean, leave a comment on what your opinion on that is, and that'll probably just influence my decision. And yep, so that's really Genesis Hydra in a nutshell. He's my green bomb. I didn't like Pellic Worm because Pellic Worm's triple green, which I just think is really too much to ask in this deck. Elvish Visionary is just more card draw. This is my other half, my like early game blockers and stuff. I mean, got the Wall of Omens. This guy basically makes it up to 7 Wall of Omens. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say. I mean, it's pretty much standard in every single green deck which plans to go in the late game. Next we run 3 Cultivate, which I mean I cut 1 Cultivate because the mana I did have 4, but the mana was performing really well, like even without Cultivates in hand. So I thought I could risk to go down to 3, but obviously this thing is pretty much mandatory in a 5 color deck. It can just get you any sources you need, and yeah, it's ramps you as well, which is always nice. And not much else to say about this. I mean, yeah, it's Cultivate. It's pretty standard. I mean, it's the best ramp card they've given us, and perfect for a deck which is running loads of colors, because you can just like spread out what colors you need. And generally in this deck though, it's good to have before you play Cultivate. I mean, normally in like 3 color decks you can get away with it, but in 5 color you really have to have a good idea of what mana you need. And like, just say you've got a Baneslayer in hand that needs double white, but then you don't have any blue as well. So at that point, I'd just get double white, so you at least have something in your hand you can cast. There's plenty of chances to get the blue later on. That's my opinion on it anyway. But yeah, let's put this thing away and then move on to our colorless suite, which is 3 Darksteel Ingots. This ramps you again. It's basically Cultivate, except it gets you less mana, but it gets you any color you want a turn, which is always nice. It's indestructible as well, which never really comes into play. I don't think anyone would really remove this, because I mean, whenever you see meteorites, no one really removes that either. But I mean, if they're playing a cleanser, I mean, this thing is pretty handy to have indestructible. But yeah, I mean, this thing is really good. Not much to say. It's 5 color deck is really nice because it just gets you any source you need. If you need that second blue, it gives you that second blue. If you need that second red, it gives you that second red. I mean, it's really versatile, and that's why it's definitely in this deck. That's why I run all 3. I prefer it in Cultivate over this deck just for that reason. Next, we move on to a lot of bombs in our multicolored, but first we go on to Kozilek. This is actually, I'm not even kidding. This is literally the first time I've used Kozilek in this entire game. It's just I've never had a deck which I felt you fit in, and I thought this was my time to play out with Kozilek. I'm never going to run Darksteel classes again after how disappointing he was with artifacts. But yeah, I mean, this guy's better in every way, really. He's cheaper, he's more power, he's got better ability, he's got Annihilator. Yeah, so run this guy and benefit as well. Obviously, he works ridiculous with Counterlash because you get a haste 12/12 which destroys 4 permanents and draws you 4 cards. And as you can see by me running out of breath, that's how good this guy is. And not much to say. 10 mana for 12/12 is ridiculous. Let alone the ridiculous ability he's got as well. So that's very run him. And another way to get him out early is with the one-off Maelstrom Archangel. This thing is fantastic. This is also a really good thing at Counterlash because generally they can't respond to it as it's basically got haste. So just say you have this and a Kozilek and a Counterlash in hand. Counterlash, bring this on field, this thing attacks in, gets you Kozilek, you win the game. That's how it works. But I love this guy. Obviously, you very rarely get this thing out on turn 5 just because there's only 1 in the deck. Plus you need 5 of each colour, which is pretty rare, but either way, this guy is, I mean, even just as a 5/5 for 5, it's pretty good. If it's Billy, plus people will just absolutely lose their shit when this thing hits the field, and they will like throw like really good cards in the way, just desperately trying. Like they'll play like fogs just on this guy, just because they're really terrified of this thing, and that's always a good thing in Magic. If opponent is that terrified of it, you know you're doing something right. Next one, we only run 2 fusion elementals because if this guy had trample, I would run 4, but as it stands, he's an 8/8 body, which is obviously huge, but he's only an 8/8. He's got nothing special going about him. But he's hard to cast, obviously, but I mean it's 8/8 for 5. I mean this thing is a really good bomb. They creature wise they can't really deal with this thing. I mean even like Grizzlebrands and like Rune-Scarred Demons aren't big enough to handle this thing. They need auras, they need removal, so which is always a good thing. And this thing's obviously very terrifying. I mean, you could be absolutely crazy and like throw Master of the Waves in just to make this thing a 9/9, but I think that's going a step too far. Next we move on to some more early game stall, and this thing is basically, I call this mini Baneslayer because this thing's job is to stop your opponent attacking in, gain you a decent amount of life, and originally actually in this spot I was running what was it? I can't remember the Sprouting Thriax, that's it. The 3/3 that makes 3/3 tokens. Because I thought that's a really good early game. It really annoys the opponent and stuff. But overall this guy's a lot better because for one, he gels well with Anger of the Gods. Because he's got that extra toughness, which is really good. Plus he gains your life, which this deck kind of needs early game if you're getting absolutely smashed in the face. Plus, I mean, yeah, so this guy's just, I think it's better overall than Jun Token guy in this deck. But I mean, either one's pretty solid. But mostly the thing that swayed me here was that Anger of the Gods does not work well with that guy. And yeah, that's why I put this guy in. He's really good as well. I mean, what's the point of attacking and dealing 1 damage if you're going to gain 2 life, 3 life from it? I mean, and that's my opinion on the matter. So yeah, he is removal weak, obviously, but I like to think anything with 3 toughness, 3 power and 4 toughness, is in that like golden removal blockage in this format, particularly like Brimaz as well, because you can't reprisal it. You don't really want to Angelic Edict it because it's only costs 3 mana. So it's like it avoids the most common removal in them two. I mean, red shock, you need to double up on shocks. Bolts don't kill it. So it's like avoids. It's just like the perfect size to avoid a lot of removal in this game, in my opinion. So that's why I like this guy a lot, and I'm talking about way too much. And yeah, let's move on to the one of Rafiq of the many. Surprisingly, this guy is a lot of the time what I tutor for. And I know that's somewhat weird, but this guy generally says win game next turn. If your opponent doesn't, like, just say you got a Rune-Scarred Demon, you play him, then next turn you Rafiq of the many, you've got a 7/7 double striker going across the field with evasion. And that generally just says win game. But I mean, most of the time I like to play it safe and just get the other Rune-Scarred. But this guy is devastating with your big creatures. Can you like imagine like creatures like with Inferno Titan, for example, with double strike? I mean, you wipe out their blockers and then you just absolutely ruin their face, and that's why this guy's in here. I really like him. Yeah, again, it was between this guy and Crash. It's just I like this guy a lot better because he's better to tutor for than Crash, because Crash just sort of hits the field, takes a little while to get going, while this guy is just he makes an instant impact as soon as he hits the field, which is why I like him. Finally, we move on to the removal in the deck, which we have Ground Assault. Ground Assault is pretty much the best removal in these colours. I mean, I love Ground Assault. Deals damage equal to target creature number lands. So, I mean, as we're ramping so much in this deck, this just says kill target creature. Sorcery speed, which is fair enough. But yeah, I mean, love this guy. I don't need too much removal. I can tutor for it as well. It's really cheap, which is really nice. So just say you're on 8 mana, Rune-Scarred Demon, tutor for Ground Assault, kill their creature, and that's also another good tutor. But yeah, I mean, I love Ground Assault. Not much else to say, and this is probably the bit most people are looking forward to, the land base in this deck. And let's just go on the gates first. I like to start on the gates. Basically, we run 4 of every single triple coloured land, which I think is perfectly good. I mean, it gives, I think it worked out, it's like 9 sources of each colour, which is pretty nice. But I think the problem with 5 colour, in my opinion, is that you don't want to just have like 18 gates and then like 6 untapped land. I like to cast things on turn, so like maybe a gate turn 1, gate turn 2, and then Cultivate turn 3 or something like that. So you need a lot of untapped lands as well, just to not slow you down too much early game. So we move on to the colours, where I've calculated using my very sciencey maths. We have 3 forests, because that really helps us get Cultivate on turn. We have 1 of each of the mountains and swamps, because honestly it's really good for Cultivate just to have 1 if you need that extra source. Plus, I mean, with these we don't run too much of them colours, so you don't really, they're not too demanding. Plus, I mean, we got all this here, and then you run 2 islands and 2 plains, because I'll go back onto spells if it lets me. Apparently it's not going to let me, so we're not going to go back onto spells. We're kind of stuck here at this point. But yeah, because we run like Baneslayers and we run like the Counterlashes, it's really nice to have that 2 mana to really get going. But I think I worked this out at something. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's 9 of each color, just with your triple answers. So I basically got 12 forests, 10 12 forests, 10 mountains, 10 swamps, 11 islands, and 11 plains. So I think that works out pretty well. Plus, I've obviously got all my cultivates and my Darksteel Ingots. So with playtesting with this deck so far, mana really hasn't been an issue, which is always a good sign in a 5 color deck. And yeah, I mean, I like the curve as well. I mean, let's have a look at what the well, I can't click. Well, yeah, I can click. There we go. So I mean, apparently says I'm really slow. I agree with that. Strength. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, I've got like 20 bombs. I don't know what this game's talking about. Control. I'd probably put strength up to 4, control down to 3, and then synergy I'll put up to 5 just because I'm biased. But yeah. So that's the deck, and hopefully it performs better than Artifacts did. And playtesting with this deck, I've been having a lot of fun. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say. I mean, look forward to this tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you then.